What's up, world? It's me, Nez. Welcome to Nez Telly. I create content trying to get you to read more. Okay, so please share and subscribe if you want to be here with me so that you can achieve your reading goals and be able to be sure of what book to read or what book to read. I just sit down here and talk about books and try to get you to achieve your reading goal. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about the importance of research. Research is very, very important. I'm talking about this now concerning the COVID-19 that is going around. That's the coronavirus. Do your research, okay? Try not to panic. Try to focus more on doing as much research as you can find. Try not to panic, okay? Nigerians all over the world right now, most of the countries that we are in around the world right now, a good number that is affected by this virus are shut down. It's not an opportunity to panic. Sit down, read a book, escape in your mind, okay? Sit down and imagine things. You can learn something new and you can pick up a book. So there's so much you can do right now. So try not to be too carried away by what the media is doing. The media is doing their job. Like, I don't hate the media or anything, but the thing is that if you sit down and focus so much on what the media is saying, both social and old media, you're going to find yourself panic more, and you're going to find yourself get agitated more, get more anxious. So please just calm down and try to read a book. I know it sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, do it. After a week, you come back and tell me about it. So thank you so much for checking it again. Don't forget to please subscribe and like this video when this video is done. So today I want to talk about the 48 Laws of Power. This book is a book that a lot of people have always made me believe that the book is a horrible book to read. Don't read it, it's scary. And what I'm learning more now, especially now that I'm learning to read books, is that in the end you have to understand that you have a choice. This book explains 48 laws of power. You don't have to take the 48 laws of power. Now, some of them, granted, some of the laws are some of the laws are laws you wonder like who came up with these things. But if you could go, because the way the man wrote it is written by Robert Greene. The way this book was written, every law has a story attached to it by something that actually happened, some even two stories about something that happened way back, and how how this law came into play, and then tells you the key to the law. The thing about this book, I think that could come across as creepy, is that it sounds very definite. It makes it sound like if you want power, you must do this. I don't quite think the world is that flat. I feel like it's not that serious. Like, I don't know, I guess it's important for whoever wants to have power, but I feel like anybody that wants to have power and uses and goes by these 48 laws, the person must not want to have friends or family or anything, because I mean there are some laws like trust your enemies and never your friends. So it's like if they say don't trust your friends and have enemies, it's like he even went on to say if you don't have enemies, make some. So basically make enemies so that you can be powerful. Or maybe my own ideas of power is different from others, but there were some laws that I really like. Out of the 48, there are like 5 to 10 that I think, okay, these ones I really want to vibe with, I would like to learn from. So I think number one of that was guard your reputation with all your life. I think that I found very funny, because that one comes with an interesting story about two Chinese generals during the War of the Three Kings in China. I'm not going to use their name because I don't want to ruin it. I don't know how to pronounce names very well. But these two Chinese men, one is very notorious for being very tricky, and he has won several wars for turning people around, turning people into double agents, and he was very good at his work. So one particular time during this war, he had sent his whole army to go somewhere and fight, and then he kept a handful, like I think 100 with him, and they were in a city resting. Then when the other general that was like his arch enemy had heard that he was resting somewhere, had come to attack him. The guy knew that with only 100 generals, there was no way he was going to fight. He was going to be able to win the fight. He was going to lose. So he told all the generals, all his soldiers, his 100 soldiers that he had with him, that they should go and hide. Then he stayed in one place that was very visible in the city, wore like a prayer robe or like a worship robe, and they started playing I think it's called the lute, and was doing like some kind of dance and incantations, like a prayer and a worship thing. He was doing it. So it's like when the other general came with his big whatever of army, the guy even saw them. That's the guy that was doing the dance and being funny, saw them, but he acted like he didn't see them, like he was so carried away by what he was doing. So the general came there, and he was like, that's the other general now, got there, and he was like, he wanted to fight the guy, but he thought about it that this man, because of his reputation for being very clever and for being very this man is up to something, and then he just turned and then he walked away. So that's how that man survived. But basically that man survived based on his reputation. If he wasn't somebody that was very clever and popular for being that way, he would have he would have gone there and beat him. I liked the story. So the importance of reputation, that one we even know. Even our parents tell us things like, the name you're defending, defend that name. So that's very important. I liked that. The other one I also found very interesting is like never outshine the master. I've never had to work for anybody before. I've never had to be something to a master before, so I don't quite understand this. But then it's something I actually think I'd like to implement. Let's see how it goes. Never outshine the master. If you outshine the master, you have tendency to be resented. So that's another one. Another one I also liked a lot was don't win through arguments, win through actions. This I found very funny, and I loved a lot because the story attached to it was the story of Michelangelo. Of course, I talk about research again. I really believe that a lot of these laws, I have to go back. I have a lot of these stories that he told. I want to go back and research. There are over 48 stories. So I don't know if I can go through every single one, but some of them are very intrigued by, like the story of Maria Antoinette and Cleopatra. Like, why is that every movie of Cleopatra that has ever shown doesn't show this part of? Because what they said in this book about Cleopatra, I'm like, what? Like, from marrying her brothers and from making sure all her siblings got killed, like every single one, just so that she can be queen, she can remain queen of Egypt. That's creepy. And that particular story was something about not getting don't let your hands get dirty, let somebody do your dirty deed for you. So basically, she saw to it that all her siblings got killed, so that there's no rebellion against her by basically all those men that she had seduced, and she had gotten them fall in love with her, so she got them kill this person, kill that person. But she wasn't actually outright about, like, they did it thinking that they did it themselves. That's these men that loved her. So it's like, it's just some of the laws are like the ones that say crush your enemy totally. Like, don't let your enemy come up. Like, it does make sense, but do you really want to have enemies like that? Like, why? And a lot of it reminds me of Game of Thrones. I watched Game of Thrones. If you didn't already, please, if you haven't, sorry, if you haven't watched it, or if you watched it, I mean, let me know. So basically, if you've read this book before, and you know, like, if you have concerns or you heard things about this book, like interesting myths about it, please leave something in the comment section. But I did love this book. I enjoyed it. It was just like the stories. I love stories, right? So a lot of the stories, like, what is that, what happened, down to, like, stories of how con artists got people. So, like, ultimate laws of power, I think they're very interesting. Robert Greene is a very interesting man. There's some other books that he's written that actually I'm interested in reading, like Mastery, The Art of Seduction. Then there's even the 50th Law of Power, which he did the 50 cents. I don't know if I'm going to read that now, but I think I would like to read them later. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to share with other people. And I love you so much for checking up on me. Thank you so much for watching, and have a beautiful week. And please stay safe out there. Don't forget to sanitize, wash your hands, and avoid touching your nose and mouth, and just stay safe out there. Okay, bye now.